Tonight I want you to Tonight I want you to enter a place where time slows down, where thoughts become light as feathers, and where the world outside gently fades into the background. This is the story of a woman named Aveline, a quiet dreamer who never rushed, never forced, and never pushed the river faster than it wished to flow. Aveline lived in a small coastal town, a place where dawn arrived like a shy visitor and nights were long, deep, and full of distant waves. Her home stood at the edge of a cliff, where the sound of the ocean hummed softly beneath her window as if the sea itself was breathing in a slow, soothing rhythm. She worked as a restorer of old books. Every day she carefully touched pages that had lived more lifetimes than she did. Some were worn from rain, some yellowed by the passing of decades, and some carried faint scents of cedar or lavender, trapped in the fibers of their history. Aveline believed books held memories, not just their stories, but the emotions of every hand that turned their pages, and she treated each book as if it were a fragile, living thing. Her nights were simple. After her work, she walked down to the shoreline with a small lantern. She never hurried, she never set goals for the walk. She simply let her feet move in whatever direction felt gentle. The ocean breeze would brush across her face, carrying the cool scent of salt and drifting wood. And as she walked, she watched the sky shift into its evening colors: lavender, peach, deep navy blue. But one evening was different. As she approached the water, she noticed something glimmering at the edge of the tide. A tiny glass bottle rolled back and forth with the waves, as though it had traveled a very long distance just to arrive at her feet. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded with delicate precision. Aveline sat on a smooth rock and carefully opened the bottle. The paper was old but beautifully intact, written in an elegant hand. "If you are reading this, you have found the place where wandering hearts rest. Follow the lanterns. They will guide you home." There were no lanterns around her, only the one she carried, but as she lifted her head, something remarkable happened. Far in the distance, faint points of golden light flickered to life, one by one, forming a gentle path along the shoreline. Not bright, not demanding attention, just quiet, warm, and inviting, like the soft beat of a sleeping heart. Aveline felt no fear, only a calm curiosity, like drifting on warm water. She rose from the rock and began to follow the lights, each lantern illuminating the ground with a soft amber glow. They seemed to respond to her presence, brightening just a little as she passed. The deeper she walked into the night, the quieter her thoughts became. Worries dissolved, replaced by a peaceful stillness she hadn't felt in years. The sound of the ocean softened, turning into a low, hypnotic hum. And then she saw it, a small wooden bridge, old yet well kept, stretching across a narrow inlet. At its center stood a lone lantern, brighter than the rest, its flame steady and warm, as if it had been waiting for her. Aveline stepped onto the bridge, feeling the faint vibration of the ocean beneath the wooden planks. Aveline stood in the middle of the bridge, holding the glass bottle in one hand, the folded message in the other. Below her, the ocean moved in slow, rolling breaths, as if matching the steady rhythm of her own heartbeat. The central lantern glowed with a soft golden hue. Its flame did not flicker. Instead, it pulsed gently, like a signal calling her forward. She reached toward it, expecting heat, yet the moment her fingers approached, the flame cooled into a soft silver shimmer. The world around her seemed to hold its breath. Then, the lantern opened. Not physically. There was no hinge, no moving parts, but with a delicate whisper of light that unfolded like petals opening at dawn. Inside the glow, she saw an image, a quiet room filled with bookshelves, warm lamplight, and a single chair by a window overlooking calm water. It was her home, yet it wasn't exactly the same. It looked lighter, simpler, free from the dust of old memories. She realized something. The lanterns were not guiding her away, they were guiding her back to herself, to a version of her life where peace was not something searched for, but something allowed. The silver light wrapped around her like a gentle breeze. Her shoulders loosened. Her breath deepened. Her thoughts drifted like leaves settling on still water. The lantern whispered, not in words but in a feeling. "Let go, rest, you have carried enough." Aveline closed her eyes. For a moment she felt suspended in a quiet space between waking and dreaming. The ocean grew distant, its sound softening into a warm lullaby. When she opened her eyes again, she was standing in her home. The lantern she held was still glowing faintly, though the others had vanished like fading stars. She set it by the window and watched as a gentle silver spark rose upward and disappeared into the night sky. Peace filled the room, a deep, effortless peace, the kind that asks for nothing in return. Aveline sat in her favorite chair, wrapped herself in a soft blanket, and let her eyes drift closed. She felt the ocean breeze through the open window, carrying the faint scent of salt and the distant sound of waves. She whispered to no one and to everything, "I am home." And with that, she let sleep take her, slowly, softly, like being carried across the surface of calm water. The night air felt softer than usual, as if the world itself had decided to exhale. Elias walked along the narrow stone path leading away from the cottage, guided only by the silver shimmer of moonlight resting gently on the ground. Every step he took matched the quiet rhythm of his heartbeat, slow, steady, and strangely peaceful. He followed the faint sound of flowing water until he reached a small river hidden between ancient trees. The surface was smooth as glass, disturbed only by the graceful movement of the current. Elias crouched down and dipped his hand into the water. It was warm, warmer than river water should ever be. And then something extraordinary happened. As his fingers brushed the surface, the water brightened, glowing with a soft golden haze. Shapes appeared, vague at first, like distant lanterns, then gradually becoming clearer. They were memories, not only his own, but the memories of strangers, of lives he had never lived, floating gently past as if carried by time itself. A woman laughing beside a fireplace, a child clutching a wooden toy, a man standing atop a mountain at sunrise, familiar yet unfamiliar, comforting yet distant. Elias felt no fear, only warmth. The river whispered, though no wind stirred. These are the echoes of hearts you've passed by in life. Some you noticed, some you never saw, but all left a quiet trace in you. He didn't speak, he simply listened. The water shifted again, showing something he did recognize, his younger self, sitting alone at a schoolyard bench, a small boy, quiet and uncertain. Then another memory, older Elias, pretending to be strong when life felt overwhelming. Then another, him helping a stranger on the street without expecting anything in return. The river offered him every version of himself. Elias's eyes softened. He felt as though the river wasn't showing him mistakes or regrets, but small acts of courage he had forgotten. Moments where he chose kindness even when life felt heavy. Times when he didn't give up even when nobody noticed. The river glowed brighter for a moment, then dimmed gently as if settling into sleep. A sense of calm wrapped around Elias's shoulders like a warm blanket. He sat beside the river for a long time, breathing in the stillness. The trees swayed gently above him, each leaf rustling like distant lullabies. When he finally rose to return home, the world felt lighter, not because anything had changed, but because he finally remembered who he had always been. And that small truth, quiet, warm, steady, followed him all the way back along the moonlit path. The following night arrived with a soft wind that carried the faint scent of blooming flowers. Elias opened the cottage door and stepped into the cool air, unsure of where his feet wanted to take him. But the moment he looked toward the hillside, he saw a gentle glow, almost like candlelight, beckoning him forward. He followed it. At the top of the hill sat a garden he had never noticed before. It stretched wide under the night sky, filled with plants that shimmered with pale, dreamlike colors. Some flowers pulsed softly like tiny beating hearts. Others released glowing pollen that floated upward like fragile stars. Elias walked between the glowing plants, brushing his fingertips across their petals. Each touch sent a wave of warmth through his chest. A whisper rose from the wind. "This is the place where unsaid wishes come to rest." Elias paused. The garden seemed to breathe. He saw a small tree with branches made of translucent silver. Hanging from it were glowing spheres, each one holding something inside. He leaned closer. In one sphere, he saw himself writing a poem he never shared with anyone. In another, he saw the version of himself who once wanted to learn to play the piano but never found the courage to begin. In a third, he saw a younger Elias standing at a train station, wanting to leave his hometown but turning back out of fear. These were all wishes, wishes that never grew into actions. His chest tightened, but not with regret. Instead, it felt like recognition, a gentle acknowledgement of the quiet desires he had carried through the years but never spoken aloud. Then a soft light appeared near his feet, a new sphere, forming slowly. Inside it, he saw himself as he was now, walking through this glowing garden,